With the Floatride Energy, Reebok has been providing a quality daily trainer at a fantastic price. It's reliable, it's versatile, and it's just like all the versions that came before it. So, is this shoe boring? .59 miles, 9 minutes, 1 second per mile, and 137 beats per minute today, going for an easy run along the lakefront with some strides in the Reebok Floatride Energy 4. Now, before I give my thoughts on this shoe after just this first run, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that Reebok sent me for the purpose of review. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Reebok Floatride Energy 4. First, let's go over some specs. This is a 26 millimeter stack height shoe in the heel with a 9 millimeter drop. That means that there's 17 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot. In this midsole, we have Reebok's Floatride Energy foam, which is an expanded polyurethane material. Moving to the outsole, we have a layer of carbon rubber, which if you're familiar with this Floatride Energy series is going to be in a pattern that you're very familiar with. In the upper, that's where all the changes are for this year. And I feel like overall, I think they've really done a good job in tidying up the Floatride Energy's upper and making it feel just a little bit more tailored, a little bit more premium. We have a very breathable, almost transparent layer of mesh on the top of the toe box, and underneath that is a layer of very comfortable knit-like material that forms part of the gusset that is attached to this tongue. Very comfortable and has very little amount of unnecessary padding on it, so I feel like it does a really great job of getting out of the way. And moving to the heel cup in the back, there's just a little bit of padding around the areas that are going to be touching your ankle and heel. In terms of rigid structures in the heel cup, there's a little bit of kind of shape to this heel cup, but there's not a lot of armor in here. Again, doing a lot of things that I like in the upper of this shoe. Altogether, this shoe comes in at 0.1 ounce lighter than last year's version at 8.4 ounces or 238 grams. So what was it like to run in the Reebok Floatride Energy 4? This Reebok Floatride Energy foam is one that I have been enjoying since the first time I got a chance to run in it, I guess a few years ago now. It is a lively material that I think provides a lot of really good road feel. So for those of you who don't love the super squishy shoes and you want to feel like you're a little bit more connected to the surfaces that you're running on, I feel like this is the type of midsole foam that you're going to really appreciate. But for me, as someone who loves the super squishy shoes, I find that this shoe is a little bit on the firmer side, and I probably reach for this shoe for some of my shorter runs. Today I was out there for a little bit more than an hour and a half, and I feel like for most people, runs that are a little bit less than an hour are going to be kind of like the ideal amount of time to be in this shoe. After that, I just kind of felt like I really wish I had a little bit more protection from the road underfoot. And that's pretty similar to the experience that I had in last year's Reebok Floatride Energy 3, in the sense that this is a midsole material that I think is pretty exciting, especially at the price point that they're offering it. But for longer runs, I wish I could provide a little bit more comfort in the forefoot. And as far as kind of like its road manners go, I feel like it behaves exactly like the Reebok Floatride Energy 3. The main problem that I had with the Floatride Energy 3 in terms of its upper was that it felt a little bit kind of unpolished or a little bit less well tailored. It felt a little bit baggy. The Floatride Energy 4 adjusted the fit on the upper just a little bit to make it feel a little bit more dialed in and gives a little bit more of a premium feel to it, which is really nice for this $110 shoe. As far as traction goes, it's the same traction that you've been seeing in the past several years in the Floatride Energy series. And overall, the foam is the same foam that you've been getting in the Floatride Energy series for the past few years as well. So that leads me to the big question of, is this shoe boring. I think that the person that this shoe is ideal for is for someone who's looking to get back into running and maybe doesn't want to spend $140 to $160 for that newest generation of really cushioned daily trainers. Someone that wants a little bit more of a retro look and a little bit more of a retro feel when it comes to their running shoes. I think the Reebok Floatride Energy is really going to speak to that person. And one of the things to think about is, when I look at a running shoe, I want it to look like a running shoe. I want to see like a big foam cushion on the midsole. I want it to look as plush as it feels. Or if it's a speedier shoe, I want it to look like it's a super fast, speed oriented, made for its task type of shoe. But I think that there's a lot of normal people out there who running isn't their entire personality, who look at a running shoe and say, I like that running shoe, but I wish it looked less like a running shoe. And again, I think that's where the Reebok Floatride Energy 4 is going to fit in. I think that these shoes look great not only when you're running in them, but they also look great when you're running errands, using them casually, whatever it is else that you're doing with your daily life. I took these with me today when I brought the kids to school. I was chasing after them when they were on their scooters, and I also took it for a run this afternoon after the run footage that you saw with my daughter when we went for our run together. She's getting ready for her first 5K. So in those kinds of situations of having a shoe that looks good and works well with my regular daily life, I feel like the Reebok Floatride Energy 4 fits in really well and is pretty exciting in that context. But when it comes to a shoe that I'm looking for my marathon training, as a matter of personal preference, I don't think that this is necessarily going to be the shoe for me. So the answer to the question of is it boring is ultimately going to come down to you and what you're looking for in the running shoe. I think for a lot of people who are just looking for a running shoe that doesn't look like a crazy running shoe, and you want to be able to use it for a couple, maybe a few runs per week, and something that you can also wear to the gym and those other activities that you're doing that might not necessarily be running, I think that this is a really exciting shoe. And even for those of you who are running nerds like me out there who are looking to try something different, I don't think that you should be deterred from the fact that it is only, in air quotes, a $110 shoe. Don't be deterred by the fact that it is more of a budget running shoe. I think that it's going to provide a surprising amount of performance even for the hardcore shoe nerds out there. It's a shoe that's for years has been delivering way over its price point, and version 4 is no exception to that. So those are my thoughts on the Reebok Floatride Energy 4. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday right here on YouTube over on my Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to see you guys over there in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?